So hi Josh. I hear you have a question about searching the APA databases. So
I do.
do you have
I'm interested in learning about PTSD.
okay. Well, as you can see here, from the library homepage, you're going to have to log into the library first in order to gain access to the full text of the resource that we have. So if you've already done that, let's just go right to the databases page. So here under Find in the menu bar, I'm going to click Library Databases. And then here, you see all the databases listed.
Ah, yes.
And so we're concentrating today on the APA databases, and that's from the PsycNet platform, which comes directly from the APA. So here's what we have. And make sure, just as a review, the PsycNet is the platform that hosts all the APA products except for one, APA PsycInfo Research Services. So what do we have here on the platform? We have PsycInfo, and that's bibliographic records of over 5 million resources. They're not full text, and it's more comprehensive than just psychology. It's other uh, uh, education resources, helping professions resources, counseling. So don't limit it's not limited to just psychology there. So we have PsycInfo Research Services. That is the same data that is included in PsycInfo, but it's presented in a more visual format. If you're a visual learner, some of the connections that it makes between connecting authors or citations or topics may help you in a visual way. So, same info, same data is in classic PsycInfo that's in APA Research Services. So, two options there. APA Psych articles, that's the full text of journal content published by the APA. This sliver of journals, about, I think it's over 100 now.
Wow.
Psych books has a couple thousand books in there, broken down by chapter. So you can get the full text there, classic books, psychological handbooks, things like that. It's all linked there in Psych Books. Psych Extra is the gray literature, and that means that it's something like conference proceedings, posters, different items that aren't published in an article, a peer-reviewed journal, or are not published in a book. So it kind of is the catch-all for everything else. Psychotherapy is actual video sessions recorded with real clients and real therapists by the APA. Psych tests shows tests and measurements, assessments. It usually shows the seminal article that uh, introduces the assessment, and sometimes I'd say about 50% of the time, you can actually get the assessment itself in PDF. So this is what we're going to look at today, and let's start out with PsycNet because that you'll see is the entire platform of all the databases. So if I were to go up here and click Select Databases, because I selected the PsycNet platform, that gives me the opportunity to search all of these databases at one time,
Nice.
um, except for PsycInfo Research Services, which is a separate product that we subscribe to, but all of the same data would be in the PsycInfo Classic. Okay.
Perfect.
So now a good way to start is keep this in mind. So before you hit me with your topic, keep in mind that there are two ways to search. You can search in the fields here by natural language or keywords, and that would be any term that you think of, and it's similar to Google or other internet search engines that you may be used to. So you can type in your terms in the search box, but sometimes those terms aren't as precise as we might need them to be. So it's probably a good idea um, to use what's called a controlled vocabulary. So in this case, if we go up to the APA thesaurus link, that's going to give us the index terms, the psychological index terms that the indexers at the APA use. They tag every resource, whether it's an article, an ebook, gray literature, videos, test materials. They actually assign index terms to all of those resources. So what this is going to let us do is if we search an index term, we don't have to worry about the finding all the terms to search for our topic because a lot of the index terms cover multiple topics. And we'll see a little bit later, depending on your topic, there may be a different term that we want to use that's going to encompass all of those elements of your topic. So we can be more precise in our search results. Now, my advice would be, yes, use the APA thesaurus to find controlled vocabulary terms or index terms to find more precise results, but also we would combine that with a natural language search of our own to pick up terms that are included in the full text to kind of round out our search. So, Josh, you said that you had a topic that you were interested in looking and you needed some help searching the APA databases.
Yes, that's correct. I'm doing PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder as it relates to the military.
Okay. So there's a way to do it where you could always put in your natural language terms here. You could put in PTSD and military here and
Okay.
do a search. And remember, since we're on the PsycNet platform, we've chosen to search all of the databases at once. So let's do PTSD and military. And let's just say any field and let's see what we come up with.
Perfect.
Okay. It's like 14,000 results. Okay.
Wow.
So let's try a different way. Let's go to edit our search and let's try a combination of controlled vocabulary terms from the APA thesaurus. And that'll be more precise because each one of the resources in the databases, in the APA databases, are indexed with controlled vocabulary terms. So let's go in, and the first topic was PTSD. So let's see what the controlled vocabulary has for PTSD. Well, two things came up. Complex PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
which looks like it's a narrower term of PTSD based on the list here.
Yes.
And then we just have PTSD, and that's just use post-traumatic stress disorder for PTSD. Use it. They've indexed it with the full terms written out instead of the acronym. So let's try for this one. Let's try post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
And I click the button for this. And
Should we check out anything
let-
else above? Like maybe,
yeah, we should probably do, since it looks like,
or is that more under complex PTSD?
I want to say yeah, and I think we should do war up here.
Sure.
So let's add that. Let's clear all of it. We got some old searches there. So let's do war and maybe torture survivors, prisoners of war, to kind of get the military aspect. So we've added all these four, we've clicked off all these terms, and now we're going to add them to our search. So what it did is it did PTSD and military as a natural language, and then it did war or torture or survivors or prisoners of war. And so it's going to combine these two, PTSD, military, with any of these index terms here. So let's see what we find when we get the search. It narrowed it down a good bit. So let's try. You said you wanted peer-reviewed articles. So we'll click peer-reviewed. Narrowed it down a little bit. And so let's see. So this is PTSD with the Iraq War here.
Oh, perfect.
So let's click. If this is of interest, we can click the title.
Yes, that sounds like exactly what I'm writing my paper on.
It's going to give you the citation, the abstract, and PTSD is mentioned multiple times. It's going to give you the title, the date when it's recent. It was March 17th, 2025 is when it was published. The author, usually the authors, the affiliation of the authors. It gives you the keyword. So it showed up in a keyword. It also showed up, military showed up in index terms.
Okay.
And then also down here, don't forget to click and view the references from this specific article. And they're all listed there. And if we go back up, we can click, this is from PsycInfo. So that means that it's not full text in AP Psych articles. So if we go down to, we're going to see if we have this article. We're going to take the article name and we're going to search in the library. So it just so happens that for that article showed up, but it says at other libraries worldwide. So if you want to request it through Interlibrary Loan, click the article title and it says request item through Interlibrary Loan. When you click that, you'll get the form. You'll have to sign in first, which will be taken to your Interlibrary Loan account to make the request. And then you just have to fill in anything, any field that has the asterisks.
Okay.
Which it looks like they're all there except for the need by date.
What should I put for that?
Well, today's May 2nd. It's a Friday. I would say give it, it could come today.
2 or 3 days is the
Yeah, skip the weekend. So maybe put by Monday the 5th.
Sure.
And then click submit request, and it's going to submit it through Interlibrary Loan so you can get that article, and you'll get that article electronically.
Awesome.
So now that we've done this, let's go back one and let's see what happens when we look at the psych articles, which is full text. So these are APA published journals here. There's sleep PTSD and sleep disturbance.
Yes.
That's Ukraine and Russia. It's still Russia and Ukraine. That's for combat veterans.
Oh, that'd be fine. Yeah, post-traumatic and U.S. combat veterans could be useful to have some statistics.
So with this one, this is a psych articles. It's published there. So all you would have to do is click the PDF and you would get the PDF.
Thank you. Hope this video was helpful. If you have any other questions, please contact the library.